If you're looking to dip your toes into wilderness PvM, both of the bears, Callisto and Artio, are a great place to start. They hit like trucks, but after a bit of practice, you'll be taking 0 damage here. They're also solid money, with Voidwaker pieces massively boosting the average kill value. And as always in the wilderness, the risk is part of the fun. Artio is around 2 mil per hour and Callisto is closer to 4. The real danger isn't the boss, it's the players. But there are fewer PKers than people think, especially at Artio. And don't forget that Artio is one of the safest wilderness bosses in the game. Being below level 30 wilderness, you'll just need to be quick on those emergency teleports. They might look intimidating, but with wilderness weapons and cheap blighted supplies, they're way more accessible than most people expect. Mechanically, both Callisto and Artio are basically identical. This guide is going to teach you both. The difference is risk. Artio has slightly lower stats and sits in a safer singles combat lower level wilderness area. Callisto is the opposite, multi-combat, deep wieldy and much harder to escape, so I'd only recommend him if you're sending it with a group or you're very confident at anti-PKing and escaping other players. We'll go over a low risk range setup, show you how to handle every mechanic cleanly, and finish up with some tips on escaping so PKers don't send you straight back to Lumbridge empty handed. Before you get started with these bosses, there are some minimum requirements that are non-avoidable. You need the hard wilderness diary for Artio and the medium wilderness diary for Callisto. If you have the required stats, you can get these done in less than 30 minutes, and the other rewards that you get from them are well worth it, so don't sleep on your diaries. The setup we'll be using is low risk and affordable for the amount of gold you can make very quickly here. We're not covering a million different gear options, the only option I'm going to give you is your weapon switch. The top tier weapon is the Web Weaver or Craw's Bow. These are wilderness weapons that need to be charged with Revenant Ether. They're pretty expensive and add to the risk, but they're super useful and massively speed up the kill. If you can't afford these or don't want to risk 1000 Revenant Ether every time you die, there are some other budget options. A dragon or rune crossbow with adamant ruby enchanted bolts is pretty good, especially when that enchanted effect pops off, dealing massive damage to the boss. And if you really are on a budget, a magic shortbow and rune arrows is the absolute bare minimum. For our gear, I've got the minimum standard on screen right now. I'm not going to waste your time reading it all, but here's what you need to know. The setup is mostly ranged, but we've got some magic items too for reasons you'll see later on. We want to keep our magic accuracy above 0. If you die, you're risking about 300k. Most of this is from the Revenant Ether, so if you've chosen to go with a cheaper ranged weapon, your deaths are basically free. If you want to make upgrades, go for it, but make sure you're only bringing stuff you can actually afford to lose. If you get your cheeks clapped by some sweaty PKer, you'll lose everything except your 3 most expensive items. Mage is an option here too. It's cheaper, but slightly weaker and worse defensively at low risk setups, leaving you more open to PKers. Let me know in the comments if you want a separate mage version of this guide. Recommended stats are 70 plus range for DPS, 82 magic for some decent freezes, and 43 prayer for all 3 protection prayers. For your inventory, we're going to be mostly kitted out with blighted food and potions to save big on supplies. Blighted Super Restores will restore your prayer, and a mix of blighted manta rays and karambwans allow you to combo eat up to full HP nice and quick. If you aren't familiar with blighted supplies, they're only usable in the wilderness and are usually about 1/4 of the cost of regular supplies. I bought a ranging potion to boost my DPS, a Sarah Brew for a bunch of extra HP, all packed into one inventory slot, and a stamina potion just in case PKers get on us and we're low on run energy. Also essential is a one-click teleport out. The Royal Seed Pod is top tier for teleports up to level 30 wilderness. Definitely bring a looting bag to store all of your loot. You're going to want to be on the Ancient Spellbook and bring in Blighted Ice Sacks for those cheap freezes that we're going to need to avoid getting melee spanked by the boss. You can bring some anti-PK weapons, the Arcan Blade is a nice budget one, and maybe some mage switches, but honestly, this is only worth it at Artio, and if you know what you're doing or you're willing to take the risk. At Callisto, generally, you're going to be getting multied big style, and your best bet is to just try and escape. Anti-venom and anti-poison for dealing with PKers and the escape caves at Callisto can be useful, but it's not essential. Now we've covered stats, gear and supplies, what's the best way to get to the bosses? Navigating the wilderness can be a bit of a nightmare, but thankfully these bosses are fairly easy to get to. Artio is located just north of the Ferox Enclave. Get to Ferox with a Ring of Dueling. You can recharge everything you need at the rejuvenation pool if you need to, then run north to Hunter's End. Callisto is a bit more out of the way, but still easy to get to. You can use a Wilderness Crabs teleport and run northwest to Callisto's Den. Whichever boss you're tackling, you'll be charged 50k direct from your bank to enter the arena. If you're finding this useful so far, liking and subscribing is the best way to support the channel. Drop me a comment down below with whatever guides you want to see next. RuneScape is a long and grindy game, so you may as well do it in style with some sick merch from Creator Crafted. Check out their desk mats, pin badges, LED signs, they got loads of cool stuff. You can get a 10% discount using the code 10boot. I appreciate it. Let's break down the fight as much as we can so you know what you need to watch out for. Then we'll go through it step by step and put it all into practice. The bears have a melee swipe that should never hit you. All you need to do to avoid it is stay out of melee range. If you bought freezes and kept your magic accuracy bonus above 0, you'll have no problem. Just keep the boss frozen at all times and don't stand next to him. If you successfully stay out of melee distance, you'll mostly be dealing with a ranged attack. This is completely blocked by protection from ranged. You'll want to keep this up for most of the fight. The only thing that's going to screw with that is the random magic attack he sometimes throws out. You'll want to switch to protection from magic when you see this coming at you. It can be identified by the boss doing a little step back, then a white orb coming at you. This hits for up to 50 damage, knocks you back and stuns you. If anything's going to kill you, it's this attack. Getting stunned and then meleeed is the killer here. At 66 and 33% health, the bosses will glow red and spawn bear traps around the arena. As always, don't stand in the shit on the floor. If you do, you'll take a bit of damage and get frozen in place, likely resulting in you getting meleeed for some big numbers. If you find yourself getting overwhelmed by these bear traps, running over them but not standing on them will make them disappear. If you don't know how tile skipping whilst running works, check out my other video going over all of the systems that underpin mechanics like this one. The start of this bear trap attack breaks any freeze you've applied, so be quick on those freezes. The entire fight comes down to 4 things. Keep that boss frozen whenever he starts moving, stay out of melee range, switch to protect from magic for the knockback attack, and don't stand in the traps. Let's speed through a full fight now so you've got a rough idea of what to expect and when. Enter the cave with prey ranged up and freeze the boss. Make sure you're as far away as possible, damaging with ranged. Keep watch for the magic knockback orb at all times and flick to protect from magic until it hits you, then switch back to protection from ranged. When the boss starts moving again, freeze them. Rinse and repeat this until 66% health. Keep going and applying all of those freezes and prayer switching that you've implemented already, but this time you've got to dodge the bear traps as you run away from the boss. More bear traps spawn at 33%, just keep that DPS pattern going. If you're taking melee damage at all, something's going wrong, freeze faster and create distance immediately. We've completely neglected to talk about the real boss fight here, all of the sweaty gimps desperate for your 200k risk. In Artio, escaping is simple. When someone jumps into the cave, pop that telly before you get teleblocked. If you do get teleblocked, escaping the cave and running to the south is the only real option. In Callisto, honestly, if you get teleblocked and frozen in multi, escaping is extremely difficult. So your priority is leaving the cave immediately before they get a full pile on you. The only way to stay safe is to keep as far south as you can, letting you get out of the cave before you get jumped. You can escape from the exit to the south, run through the escape caves, and keep running south through the wilderness. But honestly, in a multi-zone, you're expecting to get gangbanged by at least 2 or 3 players, so good luck. All you can do is keep the right prayer up, utilize those combo eats, and get out of there fast. If you want some more general advice on anti-PKing or escaping, I'm not your guy, but I'll link some guides in my pinned comment so you can learn from the masters. So that's all you really need to know to get started with these bosses. As always, any profit is reliant on RNG and not getting slapped back to Lumbridge by PKers. Callisto is risky, but Artio allows some pretty chill escapes, and the blighted supplies and wilderness weapons make getting a super overpowered setup relatively cheap and affordable. Wilderness weapons deal massively increased damage to wilderness bosses, which is why they're so strong here, and why every wieldy boss is more accessible than they might first appear. If you're looking to get into bossing, check out my Discord community. We've got a clan that's regularly taking multi-bosses and learner raids, so don't be shy. I'm also streaming weekly on Twitch, so drop in and say hi. Big shout out to my Twitch subscribers and YouTube channel members. I massively appreciate the support. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you next time.